Welcome to the Financial Preparedness Information Presentation for students and parents. I'm Nikki Bradbury, the Director of the Student Aid Office at the University of Montevallo, and I'll be providing this presentation on behalf of our Cashier's Office as well as our Student Financial Aid Office. This presentation is intended to help you learn more about how to navigate your student bill and the financial aid process in order to make sure you're aware of all of your financial aid options and payment options when fulfilling your student bill. Our cashier's office is located on the second floor of Palmer Hall. They're available Monday through Friday by phone 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and at their windows 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can see their contact information listed here on the screen and know that they're available to assist students and families with information or questions regarding student accounts or student bills. The cashier's office wants to make sure that you avoid certain pitfalls. We'll be talking about some of this information in more detail on future slides, but for now, please know that the University of Montevallo follows the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA. This requires that all of our students give permission for anyone other than themselves as the student to access any of their university records. In order to discuss the student bill, the student must give permission through our registrar's office by completing the FERPA Release Authorization Form. This form must also be on file through our registrar's office in order for the student aid office to talk with anyone other than the student. We do understand that our parents and other family members are very much involved with the financial aspect of college. So please know that we want to assist you and it helps us and helps you to ensure that the student has completed this FERPA release authorization form through our registrar's office. And we do look forward to helping our students and anyone that they give permission for us to assist as well. There is a parent portal. We'll talk about it in more detail, but we do encourage our students to consider giving access to someone other than themselves to be able to view portions of their student bill in order to help make the best financial decisions possible. It's also important to resolve balances to prevent holds on future registration and to avoid the negative impact of course withdrawals and non-attendance. It's also very important to make sure the student bill is paid on time to avoid being withdrawn for non-payment. If you know the schedule for dropping a course and you're paying close attention to your bill and you're avoiding non-attendance and non-payment, you should be very successful. It's also important to apply for financial aid early and quickly to resolve any inquiries from the student aid office and to ensure that all financial aid is in place well ahead of all deadlines. Always expect to prepare for the unexpected. You can access more information about the cashier's office at montevallo.edu. If you scroll to the bottom, you see there circled in yellow, make a payment. There's a lot of valuable information available at that link, even beyond making a payment. That'll allow you to see all of the information that you need when wondering more about your student bill and how to navigate it. You also can access your student bill at that same location where you see the other yellow circle where it states Banner Self-Service. Banner Self-Service is our student portal, and through this link you can access not only your student bill, but other valuable information like your student financial aid information. And we'll talk about that more soon. Payment is due the first day of each term, and this date may be different than the first day of your classes. So pay close attention and make sure that you've paid your bill by 5 p.m. on the first day that the term begins. You'll be reminded of what you owe and that you do have a bill that must be completed through your student email. Again, that's your student email. You'll be emailed monthly electronic bills. And here on the screen, you see instructions for how to open your bill so that you can review it. And again, you can go to Banner Self-Service to view your bill online 24 hours. Through that bill, you not only want to see your charges for tuition, fees, possibly room and board or your meal plan, but you also want to look for your authorized aid and or memoed aid. This means that the financial aid is fully processed and guaranteed, and that our cashier's office representatives can see that those funds are available and contributing toward your bill. To make a payment, you can pay through Banner Self-Service. You can see what types of payments are acceptable listed here on the screen. And to view your student account online, make a payment or set up the payment portal, you can see there the specific link. If you're not able to pay outright through Banner Self-Service through one of those payments, you might also want to consider the payment plan. We'll talk more about the university's payment plan in a moment. The cashier's office also encourages cashless transactions. So if you're not able to pay online or you're not using the payment plan, you can pay in person at the second floor of Palmer Hall. Just note that you'll have to use a money order, cashier's check, personal check, debit or credit card, but no cash transaction. You can also mail these types of payment, specifically your check, to the cashier's office at the address listed on the screen. Just please include your student ID so that our cashier's office can ensure that your check is processed promptly. Payments cannot be accepted over the phone, and any payment returned as insufficient will be charged a $35 fee to the student account or student bill. Please note that financial aid typically disperses to students' accounts approximately 2 weeks after the term begins. And for first year, first time borrowers, meaning our freshmen who've never borrowed student loans before, student loans may actually pay 30 days after the semester begins based upon a very important federal law. So while aid may not disperse until well after the term begins, again, if all requirements are complete and that financial aid is authorized or memoed, the cashier's office will be giving you credit for that, and they'll be able to see that that will eventually pay to your student account, so you'll not be penalized for that not actually paying until much later. And you can factor it in when paying any difference you might owe through one of these types of payments that we've just discussed. Again, the parent portal is so very helpful. While a student can log in to his or her student self-service portal to view the student bill and other valuable information like financial aid, and the student can make a payment through their student portal. It might be helpful to allow the parent or some other family member to have access. Authorized users selected by the student may only view the student's current balance, and that may be split into multiple terms if there is a balance for more than one term. They cannot see detailed information on the student account. They cannot see saved payment information through the student account, and they cannot have access to anything else through Banner Self-Service. Also, the student cannot view saved payment information that an authorized user sets up. So when the student grants access, the authorized user is emailed a login, and that's assigned to them by the student, along with a temporary password. Then that individual can log in. They're able to view the student's current balance. They're able to set up a payment, and they're able to then discuss that information with the student. Approved users like parents, guardians, or other assigned family members again can view balances by term, make payments, and it must be initiated by the student. Also, as stated before, if you're unable to make a payment outright, either online or at the cashier's office, the university does offer a payment plan. This payment plan allows you to sign up with a $40 enrollment fee, make monthly payments during the semester, and by doing so, ensures that You're able to begin the term, not risk being dropped for non-payment, and break whatever balance is still due into multiple fixed payments on a fixed schedule. To learn more about the payment plan, you can visit the website listed on the screen. Please note that the university does use a third-party vendor for the payment plan. So when you are linking from our website to the vendor's website, you will notice that their information is then listed. But it is a secure website, it is a contracted third-party service, and you will be able to set up a very secure and safe payment plan. We also know that in addition to out-of-pocket payments or setting up a payment plan, you may also have outside resources like PACT, vocational rehabilitation, vocational veteran, Chapter 33, Alabama GI benefits, Birmingham Promise, or other agency scholarships. You want to work with your representative through that program to ensure that your available resource has been communicated to the university. And then you'll want to work with the appropriate university staff person to ensure that everything is fully processed and in place. For PACT, you'll want to contact our cashier's office, along with vocational rehabilitation and Birmingham Promise. For vocational veteran or Chapter 33 or other veteran benefits, you'll want to talk with our registrar, Amanda Fox. And for Alabama GI, you'll want to talk with our Assistant Director of Student Aid, Melissa Grisham. For all questions about all other agency scholarships, you can contact our Student Aid office, and we'll be able to assist you with those as well. Here's a lot of great information about cashier references. You can find more information about tuition and fees, room and board, as well as commuter meal plans, summer rates, the drop add period and withdrawal rates, important deadlines, information about refunds and direct deposits, bookstore charges, and other items like the 1098-T form for tax filing purposes at the links you see on the screen. The good news is you can refer back to this presentation at any time so that you can go back and review or link to any of these items. And again, we understand that you may not be able to fully pay your bill out of pocket or through a payment plan and or through the use of outside resources. This is the reason specifically that we want to talk with you more now about student financial aid. The Student Financial Aid Office is available to assist students and families with information or questions regarding scholarships, state, federal aid, etc. The Student Aid Office is located on the ground floor or first floor of Palmer Hall, and it is open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You can view the contact information here on the screen. It's important for you to know that we do encourage you to contact us at any point during the financial aid process. We know that this process can be overwhelming at times and stressful, and we are here to help make sure that you are guided through the process and that we make it as easy as possible. So please don't hesitate to contact us to let us know how we might be able to serve you. I like to talk about the item that most people like to talk about most first, and that's scholarships. Your admission application is your application for most merit-based scholarships, and our admission office will be in touch with regard to any type of entering student scholarship you're eligible to receive. We also have another online application at montevallo.awardspring.com. This application can be completed each year to apply for other types of merit and need-based scholarships. The Award Spring application opens each year on September 1st for the upcoming year, and the deadline to submit that application is March 1. We encourage you to complete the Award Spring application each year, and we are hopeful with you that you will earn many scholarships. It is also very important to file the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. The FAFSA is an application filed at studentaid.gov to allow our office to evaluate your eligibility for state and federal aid, specifically grants, federal work study, and student loans. Please file your FAFSA today. You can file your FAFSA now through the My Student Aid mobile app, as well as visiting studentaid.gov. The new mobile app is a great one with lots of resources, not only to file your FAFSA, but then to begin reviewing all of your financial aid that you receive. And the good news is it even keeps up with a historical record of your cumulative financial aid and is a great reference to look back to as you're starting to move toward graduation and beginning the process of exiting from the university. It really does help with loan repayment as it provides a direct link to information through our National Student Loan Database System. Once you've submitted your FAFSA, it can take about a week or two for our office to receive it, and some FAFSAs are selected for a process called verification. Verification is used to confirm that the data reported on your FAFSA is accurate. It's a random selection by the Department of Education. One in every 3 FAFSAs is selected. And if you're selected for verification, please don't worry that you've done something wrong. It really is just an opportunity for us to conduct the internal process of review that the government requires, not only of the individual's FAFSA, but of our office and the processes that we work through, as well as the Department of Education and the processes that they work through. You'll simply need to provide the requested documentation as soon as you can in order to complete the verification process and move toward our ability of offering you your financial aid. We do use a third-party servicer to complete verification. They are Kentucky Higher Education Assistance Authority. We call them KIA. KIA has had a cooperation with our university for almost 20 years, if not longer. They are founded in the financial aid industry. They are very good at what they do. And for us, they provide an online portal for our students to be able to easily complete the verification process online. We really want to make sure that you know that we're here to guide and assist you. And so if you find yourself having any difficulty navigating KIA's portal, you can contact us and we'll be happy to help you. This is what it looks like when you first visit kiaverified.com, and this is where you'll start the process to register and set up your portal, as well as possibly a parent portal if you are a dependent student. Now, we understand that it is pretty tricky just filing your FAFSA initially, even before the point of submitting and going through a process like verification. There are sometimes special circumstances. And so if you have questions about which parent should be used on the FAFSA, you can look back to this slide for more information. If you're not certain if you're considered dependent or independent, you can also refer back to this slide as well. And lastly, if after making sure you know if you're dependent or independent, based upon the federal guidelines for FAFSA, submitting that information, and of course, if dependent, submitting the correct parent information, you then have some type of special circumstance where something significantly changes, you absolutely can contact our office to let us know, and we'll be happy to work through something called a reevaluation to assist you. If after submitting your FAFSA, a parent passes or becomes disabled, or there is a loss of income without immediate reemployment, we are happy to take those unfortunate circumstances into consideration. And once certain paperwork is completed and supporting documents turned in, I will be able to review that information and, if under the law allowed, potentially make a financial aid adjustment to best meet your new circumstances. Once we receive your FAFSA, no matter your circumstances and whether or not you're selected for verification, we're going to begin communicating to you directly through your student email. as well as through Banner self-service. Again, at montevallo.edu, all the way to the bottom of the page, on the far right-hand side, as you see on the screen circled in yellow, you can access Banner self-service. That's where you'll be able to review your next step requirements in the financial aid process, all the way through then being able to view your financial aid offer. Again, our primary form of communication is through email and Banner self-service. And that is again where you can review certain requirements to complete the financial aid process, accept and decline aid offers. And new students will be provided with this access information to Banner self-service once admitted. So once we have your FAFSA and everything's fully processed and you've completed all requirements, we're going to evaluate your eligibility, like I said, for grants, federal work study, and student loans. So let's talk a little bit about grants. Federal Pell Grants are available in amounts ranging from a few $100s to several $1,000s per academic year. The amount of the grant depends on the student's financial need, cost of attendance, and enrollment status. If the Department of Education determines that you're eligible for the federal Pell Grant, because this is considered a limitless fund, we will be able to provide to you your federal Pell Grant award. For the current 2021 year, the full Pell annual award is $6,345. It's estimated or anticipated that the 21-22 full Pell annual award will be increasing by $150 for the entire aid year, bringing that amount to $6,495. Again, at this time, it is just estimated. We will receive those finalized figures from the Department of Education very soon. We also participate in two other grant programs, the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant Program and the Alabama Student Assistance Program. The Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant Program is a grant program for students who have exceptional financial need, but these funds are limited. That's why it's so important to file your FAFSA just as soon as possible. It becomes available October 1st, and we encourage you to file right away so that if you're eligible, you have access to these limited funds. And then for those students who also have exceptional need and who are legal residents of Alabama, you may qualify for the Alabama Student Assistance Program. It too is limited, so filing your FAFSA early secures the best opportunity for you to have access to those funds. Now, there is a law in place that says you may receive the federal Pell Grant along with the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant or along with the Alabama Student Assistance Program grant. You are not allowed to receive, as we call it, FSEOG and ASAP, or the Alabama Student Assistance Program. So you might receive Pell Grant and one or the other of the other grants as funding is available. We do also participate in the Federal Work Study Program. It's based on the availability of funds made to our institution through the Department of Education. And when awarded work study, students may work on or off campus and are paid at least federal minimum wage. To be considered for this type of aid, you want to make sure that you mark yes to the question, are you interested in federal work study on the FAFSA? Because these funds too are limited, it is important for you to file your FAFSA early and know that it's typically offered based upon the timing we receive the FAFSA and financial need. I want you to know that federal work study is the only type of federal aid that does not contribute directly toward your student account balance or your student bill. While all other types of aid will pay directly to your bill, federal work study is earned through a biweekly paycheck. Therefore, when you're comparing your financial aid to your student bill, as we'll talk about a little more soon, please keep in mind that you do not want to take federal work study into consideration in that equation. Federal work study is really an opportunity for you to earn biweekly and have some supplemental income to help with other miscellaneous educational expenses that come up throughout the year. Say when there's a class project and you need to buy extra supplies, or if you are needing to eat away from campus and needing to use your own money out of pocket, things of that nature. You may not be offered federal work study based upon its availability or your eligibility, but please know there is another type of employment on our campus for those students who do not have federal work study. This is something we call jobship, and you can contact our Student Employment Office to find out more. If you are awarded work study, we will then connect you with the Student Employment Office to secure your employment so that you can begin working and earning. Lastly, I want to talk about federal student loans. Undergraduate students enrolled at least half-time may be eligible for need-based, subsidized direct loans or non-need-based, unsubsidized direct loans. Eligibility is based on the FAFSA information, cost of attendance, and the class level or grade level. Freshmen are eligible for a certain amount, sophomores are eligible for a slightly higher amount, and juniors and seniors are eligible for an amount that's slightly higher than the sophomore level. The subsidized loan means that the government is paying the interest while the student's enrolled at least half time. So upon exiting school, at that moment, the student only owes the original principal amount of the loan that was originally borrowed. After exiting, the loan will then begin accruing interest throughout the repayment process. The unsubsidized student loan is simply a loan that will be accruing interest while the student is attending and after through repayment. The good news about both of these loans is that while one does not accrue interest while in school and the other does, both loans are still excellent loans in the sense that they have very low fixed interest rates. They do not require repayment until 6 months after you've exited, whether that's dropping below half time during fall or spring, withdrawing, even if temporarily, and graduating. And then once you exit, 6 months later, you begin repayment. There's a 10-year repayment cycle with no penalty for early payoff. So these loans are very low interest, fixed, manageable loans if you borrow conservatively and wisely. Students who do accept their student loans are required to not only accept them through their Banner self-service account, which we'll look at more closely in a moment, but complete some additional loan requirements. First-time borrowers must complete entrance counseling, which is an opportunity to interact with a tool that teaches you more about your rights and responsibilities as a student loan borrower, and the master promissory note, which can be completed electronically and is your agreement to repay your student loans. Both of these items are completed at studentaid.gov. All students each year must complete an annual student loan acknowledgement. That too can be completed at studentaid.gov, and it's an opportunity each year to review what's been borrowed cumulatively and to acknowledge that you understand what you're borrowing and what you'll be responsible for repaying. It's a great way to keep up with your cumulative loan debt in order to best manage it once you start repayment. And as you can see on the screen, this chart shows what I referenced before, that first-year students are eligible for a certain amount as either dependents or independents, and then so on, it moves up by grade level. And of course, graduate students are not currently eligible for subsidized student loans. They're only eligible for unsubsidized student loans, but at a much higher amount. Again, through Banner Self-Service, you'll be able to review your student financial aid requirements in order to complete those, and then review your aid offer. As you can see on the screen, they're circled in red. There are several tabs that pertain to your financial aid offer. We encourage you to look at your award overview and then to the next tab to the right, review and respond to the Title IV authorization, which is your authorization for us to process your aid on your behalf and pay directly toward your bill, not only for your tuition and fees, but also for other charges such as your parking decal, etc. And then the next tab to the right is an opportunity for you to read through your terms and conditions, which provides you with more detailed information about each type of aid offered, as well as your rights and responsibilities specifically tied to student loans. And once you read and respond to your terms and conditions, that last tab on the right that you can see on the screen is slightly grayed out. It will activate, it will look like the others to the left of it, and you will be able to use that tab to accept or decline your aid offer. Again, if you accept student loans, you'll want to go to studentaid.gov and complete your entrance counseling and your master promissory note. Also, this is where you will complete that annual student loan acknowledgement. Now, it's important even once accepting student aid, and we'll talk a little more about how to compare it to your student bill and ensure it's enough to cover in just a moment. But before talking about that, I want to emphasize that you do have responsibilities in meeting satisfactory academic progress and avoiding certain other negative consequences that could impact your ability to maintain your federal aid. The Federal Department of Education requires that our office monitor each student's academic progress. You must be meeting their guidelines for satisfactory academic progress in order to be able to maintain your financial aid. We look at your UMGPA and your overall completion rate. And the government requires a certain completion rate of 67%, meaning that of all the classes you attempt, you must pass or successfully complete at least 67% of those. And you must maintain a certain UMGPA that we have set in our satisfactory academic progress policy. That information can be viewed on our website. And as long as you're meeting SAP, you'll be eligible for financial aid in each future term. But if ever you are not meeting that requirement, you will become ineligible for your financial aid. Now, there is an appeal process, and our office will be happy to discuss that with you if necessary. But for now, I just want to encourage you to make sure that you understand the consequences of withdrawals or drops. And note that really the best way to ensure that you keep all of your accepted aid, including scholarships, grants, federal work study, and loans, is to successfully complete all of the courses you register for, because again, not doing so could mean that you become ineligible for future financial aid. We here at the University of Montevallo really try to encourage our students to finish in 4. And in order to do that, you want to make sure that you're maintaining your SAP or satisfactory academic progress each semester. If you're having any difficulty, we encourage you to talk with your advisor, your professors, to seek help early. Utilize our on-campus resources, such as our Falcon Success Center, which houses our Learning Enrichment Center that provides tutoring to our students, our Career Center, as well as our Counseling Center. Get involved, be connected, engage with us here in our administrative offices, and know we're here to help you. We want to see you succeed. We want to see you finish in 4, and we want to make sure that you are eligible for your financial aid so that you don't have a financial hardship adding to any type of stress that you might be experiencing as you move throughout those 4 years. All right, so once you have that financial aid in place, we want to make sure that you take a look at your aid for the term, compare that to your student bill for the term, and what you might find is that you have enough financial aid to cover your bill, which is awesome. You might find that you have a little extra financial aid, in which case you can use those funds at a certain point at the beginning of each term to charge your books through our university campus bookstore back to your student bill, or if eligible, those excess funds might be refunded to you after the term begins and we've verified your enrollment and eligibility and your aid has paid to your student account, and that refund can be processed. For some students, though, however, unfortunately, what they find in comparing their financial aid to their student bill is that that financial aid actually is not enough to cover the full bill. We call this a gap. And so now I want to talk with you more about bridging the gap. We first want you to double check your scholarships, especially outside agency scholarships. And this is a great time for me to remind you that the University of Montevallo can't permit students to receive any type of institutional scholarship funding beyond the direct cost of attendance, which includes tuition fees, dorm room and board, which is another way of saying meal plan, and books in a refund. So, if by chance you are a fortunate student that has more than enough institutional funding to cover your bill and some left over, just know that you do want to utilize that at the bookstore. Take advantage of upgrading dorm rooms and things of that nature to maximize your use of those scholarship funds. Since we're not allowed to refund them, we will have to um, reduce those scholarships down and zero out your balance. So, you won't owe necessarily. Um, and we're not taking your scholarship funding away from you. We're just seeing to it that it meets your full bill and helps with books, but is not refunded beyond that. But again, for those students who are not in that situation, we're going to talk more about how to bridge the gap in just a moment. Also, one other note about scholarships is that the out of state scholarship is designed to bring an out of state student's tuition rate to the amount of the in state student's tuition rate. It does not fully cover tuition, it just instead covers the difference between out of state and in state. So on your bill, you'll see that you're charged out of state tuition. And then when that out of state scholarship is applied, it covers the amount of your out of state tuition to bring then that tuition balance down to the in-state rate. So you're essentially paying or having other types of financial aid pay the in-state tuition rate, but it will appear on your bill as out-of-state tuition and the difference will be covered by the scholarship. So once you have, like we said, checked on your scholarships, made sure that they're in place, know those rules for those very specific types of scholarships, and followed up on outside agency scholarships, then you can look at other types of aid. Before we talk about that, though, let me just state that if you do not see an outside agency scholarship on your student bill, contact the agency first to make sure that that information has been submitted to our university. And if it has, that's when it's appropriate for you to contact us and let us research that a bit and try to make sure that those funds are in place correctly. But what you may find out is that the agency's not sent it to us. They may be waiting on additional information from you. And so please just provide them with the student aid office contact information and mailing address. Make sure that if they send your agency check, that they send it with a cover letter with your student name and your student ID number through the university so that we can get that processed and applied. But once all scholarships are in place and accounted for, make sure all other types of aid like grants and student loans have been accepted and make sure that all loan requirements have been completed. And at that point, if you can see, yes, everything is in order, unfortunately, it's just not enough to cover my full bill, that's when we really do want you to review that payment plan option to look at if that would be feasible for you. Now, we know that it's not a feasible option for everyone, but through our office, the only other options to bridge the gap are two types of loans: the Parent Plus loan, or for graduate students, the Graduate Plus loan, and private loans. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those now. The Federal Parent Plus loan is a loan through the U.S. Department of Education. It's tied in with your FAFSA, and it is a loan that allows your parent to apply for a loan in his or her name on your behalf. It is based upon credit, and if approved, that loan processes through our office, similar to your student loans, and it can be used to cover the remaining balance on your student bill. The maximum loan amount is the cost of attendance minus any other financial aid. So typically, this loan can be enough to cover any outstanding balance. And what I tell most of our families is that this Parent Plus loan could be looked at in a sense as a long-term payment plan. If the payment plan is not feasible because the difference owed is $3,000 and broken into the multiple payments over the course of the term, depending on when you sign up, let's just say, leaves you with still owing almost $1,000 a payment, obviously that may not be feasible. But if you borrow a loan for $6,000 for the year, or essentially if your parent borrows a Parent Plus loan for $6,000 a year, $3,000 for each term, then that loan is enough to cover the balance, and that loan is repaid 60 days after the second disbursement. So if it's a fall spring loan for the fall spring aid year, that second disbursement is going to be in January. 60 days later is really going to be March. And then the parent will have 10 years to repay the loan with no penalty for early payoff. The interest on a Parent Plus loan is slightly higher than that of student loans, but it is not significantly high in comparison to, say, a private non-collateral backed loan or a credit card. So it may very well be a great option for your family. You want to make sure that prior to your parent applying, you filed the FAFSA, which of course, if you're seeing your other financial aid, you have. And you want to make sure that your parent knows that that becomes available each year for the upcoming aid year on June 1st, and it's applied for at studentaid.gov. If approved, then next steps will be provided to the parent through the federal government and studentaid.gov to complete an electronic master promissory note to agree to repay the loan, as well as possibly some other counseling requirements. Now, if your parent, unfortunately due to adverse credit, is denied the Parent Plus loan, it's not a completely closed door for you as a student. The Department of Education basically states that for a student whose parent has tried to assist through the Parent Plus loan but has been unsuccessful due to adverse credit, the student then becomes eligible for some additional unsubsidized student loan funding. And oftentimes that additional loan amount is enough to help cover that remaining balance. But if the Parent Plus loan is not a feasible option, or for our graduate students, it's not a feasible option for them to borrow themselves as the graduate student, the other option is the private loan option. Before we talk about that, though, what I want to state here is that you can see on the screen at studentaid.gov where a parent can log in to apply for a Parent Plus loan. And if the student was logged in as a graduate student, it would, of course, allow them to apply for the Graduate Plus loan. But again, if those are not options, we can look at assisting you through the private or alternative education loan process. Private loans are non-federal loans through a private lender, such as a bank or a credit union. You have a right to choose the bank or credit union of your choice. You, as the student, apply for the private loan. It is highly encouraged by banks and credit unions that you have a co-borrower, like a parent or other relative or close family connection, so that you increase your likelihood of being approved. If you're approved for the private loan, your bank or credit union will contact our university and we'll work with them and you to process the loan through our office so that it can be applied toward your student bill. Keep in mind that private loans sometimes do have a higher or varied interest rate. That's typically why we discuss them after other types of loans. However, if you have a well-established relationship with your bank or credit union, what you might actually find is that you are able to get a loan with a very competitive interest rate and also very competitive repayment options. So do talk with the bank or credit union that you handle your banking with, and or visit their website. We're not allowed to suggest or encourage a certain lender. We can assist you, though, in making sure you understand the right steps to take in working through this process. All right, so let's just quickly review important dates and deadlines. We want to make sure again that you know when it's time to apply for scholarships and other types of financial aid. And of course, that is September 1st each year, completing the award spring application for scholarships. October 1st each year, submitting your FAFSA for the upcoming year. To make sure you're checking on all of your student aid requirements and attending to accepting your student aid, your Parent Plus loan or Graduate Plus loan, and private loan options become available June 1st for the upcoming year, and all financial aid for the upcoming aid year, specifically the fall term, will begin showing as authorized on your student bill mid-July. So in mid-July, you want to take a look at your bill, compare it to your authorized aid after you've made sure all of your financial aid is in place. And that's when you want to see, do you have a gap? And if so, you do want to address it and make sure that you're in touch with us so that we can help you bridge that gap. So monitor your student email, monitor your student account, contact us. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what we're here for. And if you'd like to follow us on Facebook or Instagram, you can. We try to remind you of these important dates and deadlines there. so that we can make sure that each year you are feeling very prepared to be extremely successful from a financial standpoint in order to make sure you can focus your time and attention on also being successful academically. Here's our contact information once more, and let me just encourage you again to use this contact information. We want to make sure you're successful here at the University of Montevallo. We really love what we do because we get to help you and watch you grow and succeed. So please know we are here to support you. And if there is anything we can do to make all of this process easier, that is exactly what we want to do. So let us know. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate your time in attending this presentation. And again, feel free to revisit it and watch again and again so that you have the best handle on all of this information and can be successful.